The world has gone mad hunting down this Karen who caused a scene at a baseball game last week. Forget the witch hunt. The punishment is already built in.
She thought she was grabbing a souvenir, but instead she grabbed the internet's full rage. That one baseball became more than a foul ball, and it turned into a weapon, a symbol, a scandal. A kid's pure joy was snatched and flipped into the ugliest moment of the night. The woman? The crowd and social media didn't even wait to learn her real name. They stamped her with one instantly, Philly Karen. And the real sting wasn't just what she did in the stands, it was how it played out right after. Picture this: the crack of the bat, the roar of the Miami crowd, and Harrison Bader's home run flying through the night sky. This should have been the kind of memory families cherish forever. A dad named Drew tracked it like a pro, caught it clean, no elbows thrown, no chaos, tawa, and without hesitation, he slid that ball right into his son. Caught Lincoln's smile glowing, fans clapped in approval, the stadium felt like a fairy tale. But seconds later, the fairy tale crashed hard, because stomping right into that perfect picture came a woman in Phillies gear, finger pointing, voice rising, body language loud and aggressive. Witnesses swear she barked out, "That's my ball!" And suddenly the stadium froze. Drew tried explaining, pointing at the empty seats nearby, trying to reason, but reason was gone. Lincoln's small hand squeezed tighter around the glove as this woman pressed harder, and then the heartbreaking moment came. Drew gave in. He pulled the ball from his own son's glove and handed it over. That was the breaking point. Fans gasped. Some swore they saw her smirk, others claimed she even threw a smug little gesture. What nobody disputed was the sound that followed. A tidal wave of boos shaking Lone Depot Park to its core. In seconds, a kid lost his special ball, a dad lost control of the moment, and a total stranger became public enemy number one. And the cameras didn't miss a second. The clip spread across TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, faster than wildfire. Within minutes, her identity didn't matter anymore. She was no longer a woman in Phillies gear. She was Philly Karen, stamped, memed, and mocked by the entire internet. Commentators immediately compared her to infamous viral villains. Bagel Boss Guy, Central Park Karen, even the Yankee Stadium dad who once ripped a ball from a child's hands. The boos didn't stop at the ballpark. They followed her online, echoing across the internet like a never-ending storm. The moment she stormed off, TikTok edits dropped the Imperial March from Star Wars over her exit. Because when you can look a kid dead in the eyes and snatch his ball, you've officially been crowned the villain.
So the basic rule is foul ball, home run, adults involved, it's a scrum, right? And it's just a fight to the finish until someone secures the ball and holds it up. Then it's their.
Twitter piled on too, one user writing, "If you can steal from a child without flinching, congrats, you're the villain now." But it didn't stop at one viral nickname. Once the mob names you, the hunt begins. Online sleuths went full detective mode, freezing frames, zooming into grainy screenshots, launching endless Reddit threads. Wild rumors started spreading. Some swore she was a teacher in Jersey. Others claimed she'd been spotted at past games switching jerseys like some undercover agent. Innocent women even had to come forward denying it was them. One posting, "I wish I moved that fast, but sorry, not me." The line between fact and fiction blurred instantly, and the internet didn't just want a clip anymore. They wanted her job, her backstory, her whole life exposed, and that's when it spun out of control. Because once the internet turns you into a character, the plot isn't yours anymore. It belongs to them. Philly Karen wasn't just a woman in the stands. She'd been written into America's new morality play. Inside the ballpark, the boos were brutal, but online they became deafening within minutes. The clip leapt out of sports Twitter and started trending on platforms that had nothing to do with baseball. TikTok creators added slow zooms, dramatic soundtracks, and captions like, "Protect Lincoln at all costs." Instagram meme pages went full Photoshop, turning the baseball into a crown.
But the other rules are, if there's a kid involved in the scrum and you're aware of it as an adult, you back off because you want the kid to get it. And if you catch a ball and it's not like, Aaron Judge's 500th career home run or something, sell for $500,000, you take the photo with it, you're happy, then you toss it to the nearest kid.
Painting her as a wannabe villain queen. Fans swore, even the ushers froze, too shocked to step in, and that detail only made the outrage worse. How could grown adults just watch while a kid got robbed of his moment? By now, this wasn't about foul ball etiquette. It was about parenting, morality, and the line between adults and children. Sports radio lit up with callers dubbing it the new Bartman moment, a throwback to 2003 when a Cubs fan became a national villain. But this wasn't about interfering with play. This was about interfering with innocence, and that hit different. People weren't arguing over rules. They were arguing over decency. One caller on Sports Radio nailed it. Adults can fight over a ball all day, but if a kid's glove is in the picture, you walk away. End of story. And that end of story became the start of a bigger debate. Even TV hosts jumped in. Megyn Kelly aired the clip and said she felt for Drew, the dad trapped in an impossible spot. Her panel clashed live. Was Drew weak for caving or smart for stopping a blowout scene in front of thousands? Analysts went back and forth. One said Drew protected his son from public chaos. Another fired back that giving it up sent the wrong message. Online, those takes turned into camps. Team Drew versus Team Stand Your Ground. Both sides flooded comment sections, keeping the fire burning with every argument. Meanwhile,
it's truly undefeated. They have been trying to find this woman. And I know she's probably waking up like, oh my gosh, what did I do? But that was your actions. And I know once they find her, she's probably gonna try to play victim and say, I didn't mean to, I'm so sorry. Ma'am, it is too late for all.
Little Lincoln became more than just a kid in the stands. He became a symbol. His disappointed quote to NBC 10, "I wasn't very happy that we had to give it to her, but we can't win," echoed through viral posts. Commentators said his quiet, defeated tone hit harder than any meme. TikTok edits layered his sad face with piano music, turning him into the internet's tiny hero. A boy robbed but dignified, and fans couldn't scroll past without weighing in. But as the memes spread, so did the damage. Innocent women kept getting dragged after Reddit threads misidentified them. At least 2 had to issue denials, and while one diffused it with humor, the collateral damage exposed just how messy this hunt had become. Suddenly, the scandal wasn't just about one woman's behavior, it was it was about how fast the internet can crown and crucify someone in the same breath. By midweek, the tone had shifted. It wasn't just a funny clip anymore, it was a cultural mirror. Philly Karen wasn't just a villain, she was a reflection of how the crowd acts when morality, parenting, and internet justice collide. Fans weren't just booing her anymore, they were asking themselves what they would have done in that moment. That uncomfortable self-reflection is what kept the story blazing hotter with every share. And just when it seemed like the memes and outrage were the peak, the institution itself stepped in. A few innings later, Marlins staff marched into Lincoln's section carrying giant bags stuffed with jerseys, hats, bobbleheads, the works! Cameras panned to Lincoln and his sister clutching the merch like treasure while the whole section roared. Fans said the cheers for that giveaway were louder than for Harrison Bader's home run itself. It was a live redemption arc tailor-made for social media, and the internet ate it up. The Marlins' redemption gesture should have wrapped the whole thing up. A neat little bow on a messy night. But instead of calming the storm, it poured gasoline on it because the internet didn't see closure. They saw proof that the scandal was too big to ignore. Clips of Lincoln clutching the new merch went viral all over again. TikTok edits called it justice for the kid, and Instagram reels flooded with captions like, when the team cares more than the adults in the stands. But the side effect? Philly Karen's villain arc only got darker. Fans claimed she'd been rewarded with the ball while the boy had to be bribed with toys. And the internet wasn't done dragging her. They were just getting started. By Tuesday morning, sports talk shows had moved from what happened to what should happen next. Some pundits argued MLB needed to step in, not just to protect fans, but to set a new precedent. Others mocked the whole idea, calling it the dumbest controversy in years. But whether they laughed or raged, they were still talking about her, and that's what made this story unstoppable. Memes escalated by the hour. One viral post compared Philly Karen to Gollum from Lord of the Rings, clutching the baseball like it was the precious. Another TikTok stitched Lincoln's sad quote with clips of world leaders captioned, "More honesty than most politicians." The creativity was endless, and the internet couldn't resist turning every angle into content. But alongside the jokes came something darker: the morality police. Parenting blogs, lifestyle influencers, even clergy weighed in, framing the scandal as a lesson in values. Posts with hashtags like #ProtectTheKids and #LetThemHaveIt flooded timelines. Suddenly, Philly Karen wasn't just a fan in a viral clip. She was a symbol of adult selfishness in America. And it didn't stop there. Sleuths kept digging, convinced they had a duty to expose her real name. Threads popped up with supposed matches, blurry side-by-sides of random women, LinkedIn screenshots, even family photos pulled from old Facebook pages. At least 3 innocent women were forced to issue statements that week, saying things like, "Nope, I wasn't even at the game," or "I've never been to Miami in my life." But the mob didn't care. They were hunting blood, and nothing fueled that hunt more than denial. Meanwhile, Drew, the dad at the center of it all, found himself dragged into the storm too. Some praised him for avoiding a public fight. Others trashed him for teaching Lincoln to fold under pressure. He couldn't win. Sports radio segments literally ran polls. Was dad right to give it up versus should he have held his ground? And the results came back split almost perfectly down the middle. Even celebrities jumped into the discourse. A retired ball player tweeted, "I've seen grown men brawl over baseballs. Dad made the smart call," but a reality TV star clapped back saying, "Nah, that's weak. Teach your kid to fight for what's his." Screenshots of the spat went viral instantly, dragging the scandal into Hollywood gossip pages too. By Wednesday, Philly Karen's clip wasn't just a sports story, it was everywhere. Daytime talk shows replayed it, podcasts debated it, TikTok teens reenacted it in skits using plush toys and wiffle balls, and every single retelling painted her worse. Even if you hadn't watched a single inning of baseball all season, you knew about the woman who stole a kid's ball. And Lincoln, he'd officially become a folk hero. His quiet little line, "We can't win," was now printed on t-shirts sold by Etsy creators. One design showed him holding a glove with angel wings. Another had bold block letters reading, "Let the kid have it." His face, his frown, his words, all had been transformed into internet folklore. But here's the twist. The louder Lincoln's hero arc got, the louder the backlash against Philly Karen became. Because fans weren't satisfied with booing a stranger anymore. They wanted punishment. Posts demanded she be banned from future MLB games. Petitions circulated online calling for her to publicly apologize. Even Marlins staff faced heat for not acting sooner. And just when it looked like the outrage had peaked, another angle of the video surfaced, filmed from across the aisle. This new clip showed the exact moment Drew pulled the ball from his son's glove. The crowd gasped again online. But this time, the heat shifted slightly. Instead of only crucifying Philly Karen, people began piling on Drew for caving so quickly. One top comment read, "She can scream all she wants, but why take it from your own kid's glove?" Suddenly, the scandal had split wide open. No longer was it just Philly Karen versus the world. Now it was Drew under fire too. The internet had turned one awkward ballpark confrontation into a full-blown morality war, with new villains, new heroes, and endless debates about who was really to blame. And the craziest part, the game itself, the actual Marlins-Yankees matchup, had become irrelevant. Nobody remembered the score. Nobody cared who won. All that mattered was a baseball, a kid's tears, and the woman now forever branded Philly Karen. The second that alternate angle dropped, everything flipped. Drew, the dad who was once praised for keeping the peace, suddenly found himself under the microscope. The internet that had crowned Lincoln a hero now wanted answers from his father. Why rip the ball out of your own kid's glove? Why hand it over so fast? Some called him cowardly. Others said he robbed Lincoln of a once-in-a-lifetime story just to appease a stranger. Comment sections filled with fury. "She's a villain, but he's an accomplice," one user posted. Another wrote, "Lincoln didn't lose the ball. His dad gave it away." Suddenly, Drew wasn't the sympathetic parent anymore. He was the man who broke his son's heart on camera, and the backlash got so loud it turned into trending hashtags. Hashtag Justice for Lincoln and hashtag Bad Dad Drew. Sports radio stations ate it up. Analysts debated whether Drew had failed as a parent or whether he'd avoided a stadium meltdown that could have traumatized Lincoln even worse. But no matter the take, Drew's name was now in the headlines right alongside Philly Karen. The scandal had doubled in size with two villains to tear apart. And just as the Drew debate exploded, MLB itself got dragged into the spotlight. Commentators asked if the league should create an official rule. If a kid catches the ball, the kid keeps the ball, no exceptions. Some sports writers mocked the idea as participation trophy culture, but others argued it was common sense. Because if stadiums couldn't protect children from aggressive adults, what message were they sending? That pressure hit hard. By Thursday, reporters were pressing Marlins reps for statements. At first, the team stayed quiet, letting the free merch gesture speak for itself, but silence only made the mob louder. Fans wanted policy changes, they wanted guarantees, and the league offices in New York suddenly had to treat a foul ball drama like a national crisis. Meanwhile, the mainstream media poured gasoline on the fire. Morning shows ran segments titled "Baseball's Morality Play" and "Dad versus Karen, Who's Really to Blame?" Panelists sparred on live TV. One side insisted Drew had failed his son by teaching him to back down. The other claimed he'd modeled restraint restraint in the face of public aggression. It wasn't just gossip anymore. It was framed as a lesson about parenting, manhood, even American values. Social media only amplified the divide. Clips of Drew's face as he handed over the ball circulated with captions like, "This is the face of surrender." Others defended him, editing slow motion footage of him hugging Lincoln afterward, adding inspirational quotes about fatherhood. Just like Philly Karen, Drew had become a cultural Rorschach test. Fans projected their own beliefs onto him, turning him into both villain and victim at once. And in the middle of it all, Lincoln's quiet voice kept echoing. His line, "We can't win," became the fuel for both sides. Team Stand Your Ground said it proved Drew had failed him. Team Protect the Kids said it showed Drew shielded him from a bigger disaster. Lincoln wasn't just a boy anymore. He was the symbol of a national argument dissected on podcasts, talk shows, and TikTok threads day after day. Then came the conspiracy crowd. Some claimed the whole thing was staged by MLB to pump social media engagement. Others swore the woman was a plant, a wannabe influencer desperate for clout. Theories flooded Reddit with fans dissecting her outfit, Drew's reactions, even the Marlins merch giveaway. "Too perfect for TV," one post read. Another claimed this was scripted like WWE. And as those wild theories gained traction, the scandal started bleeding into politics too. A conservative commentator blasted it as an example of soft parenting in modern America. A progressive blogger countered, calling it proof of toxic entitlement in public spaces. What began as a foul ball now sat at the center of America's culture wars, one clip dissected like it was a Supreme Court ruling. By Friday, even late-night hosts were cracking jokes. One monologue compared Philly Karen to Thanos, Drew to Loki, and Lincoln to Spider-Man losing Uncle Ben. The audience roared, but the laughter only reminded everyone how big this thing had become. It wasn't a sports highlight anymore. It was a cultural event. And here's the craziest twist. While Drew faced heat online, some insiders claimed he was already being approached by networks to tell his side of the story. Producers wanted exclusives, podcasters wanted interviews, meme pages wanted collaborations. The dad who once just wanted to take his kid to a game was now at the center of a media bidding war. But Philly Karen? Still nowhere to be found. Not a word, not a post, not a statement. And that silence made the mob even more furious. Fans demanded she face the cameras, issue an apology, or at least explain herself. Instead, her absence only solidified her status as the faceless villain of the week. So now the scandal wasn't just about one selfish act in the stands, it was about how quickly the world can chew up a single moment and spit out villains, heroes, and debates that touch everything from fatherhood to fandom. A ball game turned into a morality war, and with every share, every meme, every take, it only grew louder. The Phillies weren't about to let their brand take the hit, no way. Right after the game, they moved fast. Lincoln was escorted straight into the locker room to meet the man who started all the chaos, outfielder Harrison Bader. Cameras flashed as Bader handed him a signed bat, and in one photo, Lincoln's smile stretched from ear to ear, clutching a bat nearly as tall as he was. To the crowd, it looked like redemption. To commentators, it looked like damage control. Some argued the Phillies weren't just protecting a kid's memory, they were protecting baseball's image. But even that sweet moment divided fans online. On Reddit, one blunt user wrote, "If she never stole that ball, this kid goes home empty-handed. Now he's got viral fame and a signed bat. Bad behavior just got rewarded." That cynical take started snowballing because the second corporate America got involved, the scandal exploded into something even bigger. Marcus Lemonis, CEO of Camping World, jumped into the mix on X, announcing he was sending the Feltwell family to the World Series, all expenses paid, and just to top it off, he threw in a brand new RV. The post blew up instantly. Screenshots of the tweet spread everywhere with fans joking, "Lincoln upgraded from a baseball to a free road trip. Dad of the Year unlocked." Some parents even admitted they were jealous, commenting things like, "My kid could never get me an RV just by catching a ball." What started as a heartbreaking scene was now turning into a bizarre fairy tale of perks and prizes, and people couldn't stop talking about it. But the wildest twist came when Blowout Cards, one of the biggest names in sports memorabilia, stepped into the spotlight. They made a public offer of $5,000 for the infamous baseball, but only if Philly Karen returned it with "I'm sorry" handwritten right across the leather. It was equal parts ransom note and reality TV stunt, and fans latched onto it like it was the next big Netflix plot. Commentators speculated it had nothing to do with the ball's value. This wasn't about sports memorabilia, it was about weaponizing public shame for marketing gold. Blowout Cards got their headlines, the internet got their spectacle, and suddenly the scandal wasn't just humiliation anymore, it was financial temptation. And yet through all of it, the woman at the center, Philly Karen herself, stayed completely silent. No interviews, no statements, No posts, nothing. Fans online started spinning theories. Some swore she was hiding in plain sight, maybe even sneaking into other games in disguise. Others claimed she was laying low, waiting for the storm to pass. But with every day of silence, the noise only got louder. Cultural critics warned that in 2025, silence isn't neutral. It's gasoline. When you don't tell your side, the mob writes it for you. And by this point, the story wasn't even about baseball anymore. It was about image control, PR warfare, and the terrifying power of viral narratives to twist reality. As the Phillies, their sponsors, and corporate giants tried to rewrite the ending, one truth was clear: the scandal had escaped the stands. It wasn't just sports drama anymore, it was full-on culture war. By midweek, mainstream outlets were running it wall to wall. Megyn Kelly replayed the footage on her show with disbelief in her voice as she zoomed in on Lincoln's empty glove. Her panel sparred like it was a courtroom debate. One analyst argued that Drew taught his son humility by backing down. Another shot back: that's not humility, that's surrender. Viewers weren't just watching the clip anymore. They were clashing over parenting philosophies live on national TV. Op-eds poured in. Sports writers compared it to Steve Bartman's infamous 2003 foul ball scandal that derailed the Cubs' playoff run. But almost every commentator pointed out the key difference. Bartman disrupted a game. Philly Karen disrupted childhood innocence. And that, they said, was the detail that elevated this story from a quirky controversy into a full-blown cultural lightning rod. Some writers even went further, calling the moment a metaphor for 2025 itself, a world where adults refuse to back down, even when the person they're taking from is a child. That's why this wasn't just a baseball scandal anymore. It was a morality play, a case study, and a mirror to how America handles shame, parenting, and viral outrage. And then the comedians circled in for the kill. Late-night hosts pounced, turning the scandal into fresh monologues. One quipped, "Philly fans once booed Santa Claus. Of course, they'd boo a woman who stole a ball from a kid." Another joked that Lincoln scored more free merch in one night than most rookies collect in their whole first season. Clips of these jokes ricocheted across YouTube, and the scandal morphed yet again. She wasn't just infamous anymore. Now she was ridiculous. Laughter became the new weapon. Fans online speculated endlessly about her silence. Was she hiding out, plotting a dramatic tell-all, or maybe leaning into the mystery, knowing every day without a word only made her legend grow? Comment sections filled with parody apologies. One fake viral note read, "I'm sorry," to Lincoln, to baseball, and to everyone except the Marlins. The absurdity had people cracking up, but beneath the jokes was a surreal truth. An entire country was waiting for a stranger in a Phillies jersey to explain herself. While the spotlight mocked her, it also magnified Lincoln. Edits of him holding his empty glove, face solemn, circulated everywhere. He wasn't just a boy anymore, he'd become an icon of lost innocence. His quiet line, "We can't win," was now immortal compared to viral kids of the past. The apparently kid at the state fair, or the boy crying when LeBron left Cleveland. Except this time, the stakes weren't lighthearted. They were heavy, they were painful. By now, the scandal had reached its peak. Philly Karen wasn't just a villain, she was a cultural metaphor, a late-night punchline, and a haunting question mark, and the internet wasn't letting go. Not until she gave them an ending. When the dust finally started to settle, two stories remained. On one side, Lincoln felt well, the boy who lost a ball but gained a signed bat, a locker room visit, a World Series trip, and even an RV thanks to a corporate sponsor. His heartbreak had been flipped into a strange kind of triumph, a story bigger than the game itself. On the other side, the unnamed woman, forever branded Philly Karen. Her silence turned her into legend. No apology, no explanation. Just a void that the internet filled with memes, speculation, and fake apologies. And in today's world, silence isn't neutral. Silence is a verdict. For Lincoln, the ending almost felt like a fairy tale. Commentators speculated he might grow up remembering this night not as the moment he lost a baseball, but as the moment baseball itself gave back tenfold. His words, "We can't win," were already carved into internet history, but the irony still lingers. To win, he first had to lose. For Philly Karen, the road looks far darker. Fans claim to spot her lookalikes at other ballparks, fueling Reddit threads about whether she'd ever dare show her face at a game again. Blowout Card's $5,000 offer still hangs in the air. Return the ball with "I'm sorry" scrawled across it, or keep it forever and cement her villain status. Critics asked aloud, Could one handwritten apology really erase this stain, or had the internet already written her story in permanent ink? And beyond Lincoln and Karen, the scandal revealed something bigger. Baseball has always been romanticized as America's innocent pastime. Peanuts, hot dogs, kids catching foul balls. But 2025 proved nostalgia doesn't survive viral outrage. From Steve Bartman to Philly Karen, the pattern repeats. One fan moment can overshadow not just a game, but an entire season. Reports say MLB teams are now quietly drawing up new playbooks, usher intervention policies, PR contingencies, even instant gift packs ready to hand out whenever a fan meltdown goes viral. Because in 2025, a single foul ball doesn't just live in the stands, it lives forever online. So what happens next? Does Philly Karen take the deal, scribble "I'm sorry" on the ball, and try for redemption? Or does she stay silent forever, letting the mob define her story? And more importantly, who's next? Because if this saga proves anything, it's that scandal doesn't just come from Hollywood or politics. Sometimes it's just one foul ball away, waiting in the cheap seats. One baseball turned a dad into a divided figure, a kid into a national symbol, and a random stranger into an infamous meme. Imagine what the next viral meltdown will bring, so don't miss it. Hit that like button, drop a comment, subscribe, and share this video. Because tomorrow, the internet's next villain could already be in the making. And you'll want to be here when it breaks.